Hello everybody, welcome. I am the failed author. Welcome to the channel. I have a special guest today, Uncle Eric. Today we're talking about Battlefield 6. More importantly, we're talking about if Battlefield 6 could be DICE, EA's, whatever the team, there's a bunch of developers working on it, last Battlefield game. Now I know what you're thinking. Failed author, why again must you engage in hyperbole? And I'm going to tell you, I don't think I don't think that this is that far from the truth. And I know what you're saying. How could you say that? Give me the proof. And you know what? We're going to talk about it today. Uncle Eric did some research for us before the video, boys. If you want to hear some numbers, we got some numbers. Battlefield 1, truly the last very successful Battlefield game. If you want to know how bad the drop from Battlefield 1 till Battlefield 5 was, according to our estimates here, you're looking around 21 million copies sold for Battlefield 1 compared to Battlefield 5, 7.3 million. Losing almost 14 million players from game to game is horrible, right? Yeah. Horrible. Now, it's a little inconclusive for 2042. I will say this. By all accounts, players have said it's a much better game than at launch, but that's the problem. You can't launch a game so terrible, okay? It has to be great like Fallout for that to happen, okay? If you play Fallout, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We love Fallout, but it's always buggy as hell. So, now, there's been some things that I have noticed, and Eric, I'll kind of, go through them, and then you can kind of give your input here, but why I think this could be a make-or-break game for EA. I love throwing DICE in as if they're pulling the strings, like EA clearly owns them, but I just love DICE, okay? So, one thing is they're putting, and I mentioned in a previous video on the page, you can go look it up, how the shoulders of Battlefield 6, they're making them huge because they're having to carry the load. I think there's some article floating around where they were talking about how they wanted like 100 million players lifetime for 6. Now, por ejemplo, speaking in America here, that's about a third of the country. Now, I know it's a worldwide game. I'm just giving you, an idea, right? Could you imagine 1 in 3 people in the country that you live in playing the game? No, that's hard to imagine, right? That'd be insanely popular. So, with that said, they have these lofty ambitions. I don't know, like maybe some boomers are involved in the company because they're a little late to the party. They're trying to do a battle royale feature. Mind you, it is going to be a free-to-play option. So I'm sure microtransactions, and I'm sure they're just like, get the skins, get the stuff. Let's get that in. The one thing that we forgot to mention, Eric, is if for the love of goodness, keep the like celebrity skins and cartoon characters out of Battlefield, please. It has no place in the game.
If they're smart enough, they'll take that hint. If they're smart enough, you're not going to compete with Fortnite. You're not going to compete, with some of the others.
Call of Duty,
just
right?
Stick in the lane and own the lane. Just
own it.
If
make a good game.
Twist the arm and do that. At least make the characters look as kick-ass as possible. All right, just don't be goofy and weird.
Make it boots on ground. Make it this more realistic, sluggish, gritty game that we like. But with that said, you see that they're putting a lot of eggs in the basket, and they're trying to make this diverse game that appeals. I think we mentioned earlier, they're using a wide net because they're trying to catch as many of us gamers in there, even so much that they released in secret the not so secret Battlefield 6 beta testing, which has been happening for months, which is leaked all over YouTube. Game looks great, by the way. Keep up the good work. But what I'm saying is, and the most shocking thing is, they actually are listening to the players, which tells me that they could possibly be in a desperate situation where they would actually listen to the beta testers like this. What regard, you may ask? It's all about fans' frustrations with the current weapon system not being locked to classes and letting everyone use the busted guns and the busted classes and using exploits. And what did they do? They actually listened. They said, okay, when the multiplayer beta comes out, we're going to give you an option to run a more classic Battlefield multiplayer experience where the weapons are locked to the class systems. So there's a lot of things that I have been seeing, Eric, and maybe you can agree or disagree, but I'm just seeing some things that tell me this is really starting to look like a make or break situation for EA and DICE as far as Battlefield goes.
Yeah, when you have to capitulate, unfortunately, you're in a situation where you're selling to the world. You do have your fans, and you need to do everything you can to keep your fans, but you can't just also turn a blind eye to stockholders and what the rest of your competition is doing. You're trying to get, you're also trying to get the crossover play from your other first-person shooters, obviously. And so they're trying to have their cake and eat it, too. I think it might be possible. We're going to see how that pans out, but as long as they continue to listen, and hopefully, they do listen to the fans, with that option, and as they continue to roll things forward to keep that classic version in there, then they got something. Then for me, as a hardcore gamer of lover, from Battlefield 3 from the beginning, then you got me. You got me if you do that. So let's see what they do.
Right, and I do want to point out, I think the sales figures I looked up may have been a little bit older. I just noticed in the sheet here, and that was 7 million copies by the end of 2018. So I don't know what the lifetime copies. Let's just. I don't even think we need to look at sales figures. Just look at the reception. People loved. I enjoyed Battlefield 1. That's the last one I actually played a lot, and I was in it. I had the bullet. I had my brother and one of my friends, and we were having some of the best times as far as like Battlefield memories goes. Just ridiculous cred. Not my favorite Battlefield 2, by the way. It was a grinder, but we know that people love that game. People didn't really seem to love 5, and they definitely didn't seem to love 2042 at all. And it doesn't matter how many people are saying, "Oh, it's so much better now." It's like, well, that's a day late and a buck short. I mean, what can you say to that? They better hope to, and I think you'll agree with this. I understand nothing's perfect. You might need a near perfect launch. It can't be so buggy. And you played Battlefield 3. I played Battlefield 3 at launch. It was buggy, and some of the weapons like the USAS were so broken it would make games unplayable.
Yeah, they do have a lot riding on their shoulders, I think, and I do think you make a kind of a solid point with that. They're really, with how competitive things are, and not just with first-person shooters and how incredibly crazy it is to compete with that, but you have tons. Social media, is a thing. It was a thing back then, obviously, but definitely not what it is now.
It's encompassing now. Yeah, like TikTok, Shorts, those suck people in.
Yeah, it's an attention economy, and you're fighting for everything. So they do need it. You are right, I think, a near flawless opening here to capture your market and to hold on to your share of that first-person shooter market, because it is fierce. It's no longer a joke, or you can't take it for granted anymore. And that's the real thing. Is it's like who else are you going to lose out to?
Well, and one thing I want to say too is I think FPS shooter fans, they are so desperate for something to play that reminds them of when games were better. Dude, just imagine, Eric, there's all these poor youngsters growing up, never playing something that we consider like a classic in its prime or everything. And I'm talking about the biggest franchise, Call of Duty. People are just desperate. They're begging them, please make a Call of Duty like you used to. It's honestly so insane how, okay, for example, if EA got desperate enough and they wanted the like print money button, same with Call of Duty, they would take their most beloved game, let's say Battlefield 3 for EA, and then for Call of Duty, let's just say 2009's Modern Warfare 2, just remaster it, make it look nicer, keep everything the same, as busted as everything was, as perfect as we think it was back in our heads, and release it. They would definitely sell plenty of copies. But they don't. They're obsessed with putting Beavis and Butthead as playable characters in the game. Like, I just don't get it, man. It's just not something I'm interested in. And if you look on the channel, I don't play those games. I'm still playing World at War. I have World at War videos to put up. I have old Modern Warfare 2 videos from 2009 to put up. I don't play those games because I'm not interested. And my Xbox one kind of sounds like a plane taking off when you turn it on, so I'm definitely not trying to play anything tasking. Yeah.
Yes, everyone's for
But
sure.
we're approaching 10 minutes here, and I don't think I need to beg and kind of make my case, because I do think that I have a leg to stand on here. I do think if Battlefield 6 turns out to be this catastrophic failure for EA is going to continue to be a company. It's Battlefield that's going to be like, oh snap, do we continue? Is this franchise profitable? Is it even worth making anymore? So, not to say go out and pre-order it right now to show your support. I might pre-order it because I'm interested and it's got me hyped. But what I'm saying is, if it does fail, we may be looking at some interesting times for these legacy developers and these legacy games.
Yeah, and I hope things go good, and we're gonna find out.
We're going to find out. I'm the failed author. I was joined here with the friend of the channel, Uncle Eric. And if you like what you heard, if you like what you've seen, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Are you worried about the future of Battlefield, or are they going to knock it out with Battlefield 6? Let me know. I'm kind of leaning towards, I think they will make it successful because they're actually listening. Go figure, when you listen to your fans, it may pay off. But we'll just have to see, because we can't predict the future. The game comes out in October. They got plenty of time to mess it up, and they got plenty of time to make it right. I'm the failed author. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Bye. See ya.